A 2x knife on my 2x knife list has always been a KaBar Bowie, and I've had people ask me for years to review a KaBar, so now they can shut the hell up. It was either this or the USMC fighting knife, but since I'm not a fighter, let's say more of a fuck-arounder, I went with a very similar to the classic USMC, the dog's head utility knife. And you know, I don't want to give the impression I am or have ever been a Marine.
I don't get that impression!
The main differences between these two knives is minor. The finger guard is slightly different, and so is the pommel on the dog's head. The blade length is the same though, and the dog's head is a fraction of an ounce lighter. Also, this has a hole for a lanyard bead thing to better coordinate your social media survival knife pocket dumps. But before we get into any of the same shit I talk about week after week, let's look at the overall dimensions of this beautiful, and no, I'm not joking, example of a classic American-made utility knife for fighters and lovers of fighting alike, like the overall length and weight. With and without the leather sheath, I found this knife for about $62 on Amazon. Cheaper than most other websites. Stealing's cheaper though. I didn't really find it. They just sell it there, so I didn't discover it. Blade size and cutting edge. Damn, that black coating is pretty. Be a shame if something got it all messed up. Handle size, grip area. I contemplated this or the Buck 119 as request knives, but I like the way the handle looked on this better, and I want to give the guys who want me to finally review a buck a reason to be mad still. Spine thickness and handle thickness, and behind the edge. You know what? I'm mad that I haven't reviewed a buck either. Remember folks, take my behind the edge measurements as estimates. I use shitty $12 eBay calipers. Tallnesses. How about that? The dog's head utility knife features, like the original USMC fighting knife, a 7-inch clip point style blade with a just under 6.5-inch cutting edge with a flat grind. It's made from 1095 carbon steel that KaBar calls 1095 Crovan for some of the components to the steel. I think chromium and vanadium, whatever the hell it's called. And coated in some black shit which is smooth and designed to protect the blade from rusting like carbon steel tends to do outside of Instagram use. The edge grind is not perfectly even on either side, but it was still sharp out of the box. While clip point style blades like this in theory are great for hunting because of their piercing ability when dressing and skinning game, they also work well for plastic packaging for hamburger meat from a cow killed by a machine, and then cutting up tiny tomatoes because you ran out of regular sized tomatoes. I thought you were a killer. Now I notice in comments on my videos, because I read them all, and my spending hours getting dumber by reading online forums and the arguments between people, that a lot of modern knife guys don't think 1095 is worth buying anymore because of 3V or S35VN or whatever people pay the big bucks for to not use. I don't have much to add to that other than great. Those are great steals. They must be beating up on their $200, $300, $400, and $500 fixed blades a whole lot, which, you know, kills the resale value. You know what they say a knife is, above all else? An investment. The handle. The handle is leather washers that cover a full length, not full, stick tang that also narrows closer to the butt. Sometimes they call them rat tail tangs, but it really depends on what diagram you happen to be looking at on the internet or who's arguing with you. Not to be confused with a full tang, which is easy to see, like on this particular knife right here. You know, it's kind of like the full tallness of the handle. Usually full tangs are like that. Not always, but close. On the dog's head, you can see it is about this thick at the cross guard right here. It's about this thick, and it tapers down a bit, and you can see it coming out the back of the pommel. Looks a little like a file. There's a few videos of them breaking online, including one where a guy almost cuts a massive tree in half, or, you know, just the regular old things you use a knife for. It only took him a few hours, which was very efficient. The leather washers are kind of rough finished, half polished, and provide a good amount of grip in the wet. It's comfortable and useful and nice looking. There's plenty of room for my hand grip with about an inch of extra room. The guard up front and the pommel and back keep the knife in my hand when whacking things. The sheath is also nice. It's not a full drop dangler with a ring, which kind of sounds like a sex toy. However, it sits low enough to where the pommel is only a fraction of an inch over the top of your belt. I don't like sheaths that allow the knife's handle pommel or butt to ride high above the belt. The sheath here is riveted and sewn out of thick leather that picks up wear fast, so you can fake a buy it for life post. There's a hole in the bottom to keep large amounts of moisture from accumulating. A lot of leather sheaths do not feature holes. Leather sheaths can hold moisture for a while, so if you've been using the blade in the rain, dry your blade before putting it away, and make sure your sheath is dry before storing your knife in it long term, in case you need people to tell you obvious things. Otherwise, the edge of your knife will rust. The part that's not coated, okay? The snap that holds the knife in place is fairly easy to snap, and the sheath overall has good retention when snapped. Comparisons. First, we'll take you to the KaBar. I really like this knife, and I don't know why I didn't have one earlier, since it's kind of cheap. I generally like uncoated blades, but a lot of the fixed blades I like in the mid $100 range or under feature carbon steel blades that are coated. Maybe I do like them. Did I just learn something about myself? Now the SE3, the Laser Strike, is on loan to Journeyman Junk right now. You can check his pictures out on Instagram. So this is just to give you an idea of how big the knife is, in case you own the SE3. If you don't own it, that's not my problem. I know people want the super steels for wear resistance and to brag on forums about, but it's pretty hard to beat a warranty that is transferable and covers anything, especially if you're an idiot. Not many knife makers offer that. Now the Von Tempsky Ranger, more of a rough finish knife and more expensive and quite a bit heavier. Well, I guess it's not really a whole lot heavier than the KaBar, but it's shorter. Its thick convex edge is good for durability, but a thinner edge on the KaBar is a good compromise for food prep and finer slicing detail, relatively speaking. I will say I've noticed the finger guard has a tiny bit of play now on the Von Tempsky Bowie. How about the Vangedal Rover? This is a more reasonable knife for actual camp duties. A knife anyone outside of survivalist fantasy knife bullshit us knife people like would be perfectly happy with. A nice flat grind and a good slicer, but seriously, I want to feel like John fucking Rambo when slicing my apple on the trail. Nice sheath, too. All knives seen here have reviews, which I'll link a few at the end. Here we are next to the Fallkniven S1, a review that I've been working on. Stay tuned for that. You've probably seen me posted on my Instagram social media account. Very nice sheath overall, a little less flashy, a little more compact, also nearly $100 more with the leather sheath. So the warranty section on KaBar's website states that their limited warranty does not apply to the failure, defect in, or damage to the knife caused by neglect, normal wear and tear, or by improper use, including throwing the knife, batoning with the knife, using the blades as a can opener, a chisel, a pry bar, a screwdriver. Now, if you can please explain to me a better tool for removing a screw from drywall or splitting a large piece of knotted wood, I'd like to hear some suggestions. The dog's head utility knife has quickly become one of my favorite fixed blades. I like the blade length, the grip is nice, it makes me feel like a real man and generally laughs at my jokes. Now I broke my Junglist 2 by repeatedly pummeling through knotted wood, which I am trying to do here. It was a fluke, really. And the KaBar's handling it pretty well, although my camera memory card was full at one point, so I lost some sweet warranty voiding footage. I would surmise, though, that you shouldn't use this knife to pry, because I feel like I did bend the handle slightly at one point near the finger guard. It wasn't much, and I bent it back with my hand, but maybe that was my imagination and it really wasn't bent. I have a good imagination. If you're looking for a good, large outdoor fixed blade, it's real easy to beat on this for the price. It's hard to find something this well made in the US for the price. Again, except for stealing. And while it may be obvious to me, clip points are not the best at batoning. I know. The curved tip tends to chew up your baton and get stuck in your baton wood occasionally. Something like an SE6 standard version would make a better large batoning knife with a slightly smaller blade. In summation, the knife steel held up fine to my abuse. I did sharpen the knife easily in just a few minutes on my Spyderco brand Sharp Maker. The edge grind matches the Spyderco's 40 degree setting well, or 20 degrees per side as some people might say. The blade coating did start to wear, but you know it was wedged for several minutes in wood while I whacked it. I don't know what blade coating could handle that. There might be better knives out there that hold up to various dumb things we primates can think of to do with a knife. However, this knife does all of those things reasonably well. A large blade if you need a baton, an easy to sharpen edge if you use it often, a clip point for game cleaning. I don't know, do people prefer blades with gut hooks on them nowadays? If you hunt smaller game, maybe this is overkill if that's your primary function. However, if you want to run around the jungle with a red ribbon tied round your head so you can feel like a real man or a woman for a change, then this is that. If you like this sort of review, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, follow me on the Instagrams, sign up for a small Patreon donation if you like the sorts of content I'm crapping out. Links are in the description, and you can also support my channel by buying the knife through that link below. Also, if you can't get enough of my goddamn face, I'd say I'm sorry about the cussing, but I'm not. And also, you like the batoning with the dog's head and would like to know what Pete from Cedric and Ada did with this green screen footage on his latest video, I'll link it below and at the end of the video. Thanks for watching.